Good morning, dear participants. Today we are in the second day of our 5 days workshop on research methodology in social science. I would like to introduce you to very dynamic Professor Kashinath Jena, who is working as a professor in Department of Political Science, Tripura University. So Professor Jena is well-known person over here, and not only here, over Northeast and around many parts of India. His area of interest is international politics and comparative politics. He has dozens of publications in national and international journals. He has 2 books under his copyright, and he has chaired as a resource person in multiple sessions, both in national and international seminars. He is presently the member of Academic Council of Tripura University also. He had organized many workshops when he was the coordinator of social exclusion and inclusive policies. He had been the director of distance education of Tripura University Center. He was also the controller of Tripura University, controller of examination of Tripura University for some years. And he had organized so many workshops that he have wide idea on how the workshops are conducted. And often I used to hear his lecture. His lectures are so interesting that we will love to hear from him again and again. So, sir, over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Viplav. Rather, I am privileged and honored to be a part of your this galaxy of resource persons who will have already joined and who will be also joining over the next 5 days. So I feel honored that you have invited me to be part of this program. So thank you Viplav, and thank you Ram Thakur College. Without wasting much time, because I have been given limited time, I have to finish within that. And the second speaker will be joining sharp at 12:15. So I have to sum up within 12:15. So you see, the research methodology, this is the workshop on research methodology. And one thing from the very beginning, let me clear. I am not going to touch anything or slightly on research methodology. Then must be thinking though, why this gentleman is here to waste his own time and our time if he's not going to speak on research methodology. Yes, trust me, I will not speak on research methodology. The topic that I have chosen, it is a part of research methodology, but you people don't consider it as a part. Most of the students, most of the teachers, most of the researchers, they don't accept the topic as a part of research methodology. So from that point of view, I say I will not talking about research methodology. But as I assure you, I will be very much in research methodology. But the way you people understand research methodology, I am not going to touch it. And what I am going to share with you in the next 1 hour or so is not written or supported by any book. In no syllabus, no teacher teach. Whatever I am going to share from my own experience as a researcher, as a student. The topic that I have given to the organizers is decoding cognitive dynamics of a research scholar. Decoding the cognitive dynamics of a research scholar, research and research methodology. Friends, research methodology, I am very sorry to say that it has been interpreted, it has been accepted, it is being taught in a very narrow sense. Because research methodology, what we are teaching or what we are talking about is only a minuscule part of research methodology. We are talking only of how part, means how to conduct research. So do you feel that without knowing what you want to research and why you want to research, what you will do it how? If I will say eat, then you will ask me, what should I eat? So that should be something to eat. So research methodology is always pregnant with 3 possibilities. What, why, and how. What to do, how to do, sorry, what to do, why to do, and how to do. But traditionally, only we are tum-tumming, we are only highlighting how to do, forgetting that we have to share and we have to care that what to do and why to do. So how to do, the conventional part of research methodology is very well written in the books. It is very well there in the syllabus. It is being taught all over the country in coursework, PhD coursework. That there should be research problem, research question, hypothesis, review of literature, this, that, and last conclusion, this. So this is only a methodical part, only the mechanical part of research. But research and research methodology is not about mechanical only. It has a dynamic part, which is invisible, which is not written in the book, which is not there in the syllabus, but it is written in your mind. But it is coded. And you as a researcher, you as a student has to decode that what is there. So that is called dynamics, mind dynamics. As I tell you, that research has conveniently two parts: research mind, that is RM, and research methodology, that is RM. So RM to RM, that is research mind, that what is that, how to know, that is your mind, you have to know. So first comes what, then comes why, or last comes how. So but what we are doing, the third, that is how, we are putting as the only thing, that is research methodology. That is, as I told you, that is the mechanical part of research methodology. There is a substantive part, there is a cognitive part, that is in mind. So that you have to know first that what are those dynamics that is there in our mind, but we are not conscious of that, but we have to decodify it before undertaking any kind of research work or going ahead with any kind of methodology. So friends, so what to research is in your mind, why to research, it is in your logic, in your reason, and how to research, the mechanical part, that is whatever is being taught. So what and how I combine together for convenience. What and how, first of all, that let us talk what is research research methodology, as we are mechanical talking. You see, research methodology, we are talking that research mechanics, that you have to choose a topic, that should be a research problem. The problem should be broken into some pieces. Each piece is called a research question, and each question you have to answer. And once you answer all the research questions, then your problem is solved. And for that, you have to take the help of some literature. To take the help of literature, you have to survey the literature, you have to locate where research literature available, then you will read it, then you will analyze it, then you will evaluate it, get something, reject something, so you will go ahead. So that is the mechanical part of research methodology, and that is very much visible, that is very much codified, that is very much being taught all over the country. And also in this workshop, I am sure that 5 days you will be discussing on this mechanical part. So now, this mechanical part is nothing but Sare Gama Pada Nisha. The basic of any classical music, that without knowing Sare Gama Pada Nisha, you cannot sing. But now tell me that if you know the Sare Gama, the science of that music, you know the theory of music, can you be a good singer? There are so many singers who are very good in Sare Gama. They know the notes, they know the theory, they know the science of that singing, but actual singing is an art. Articulation of your knowledge on the stage. So all experts in theory are not good singers. And there are some good singers who are not taught at all any theory. Kishore Kumar, the famous singer, that he was never grounded in any kind of theory, any kind of saregama, any kind of basics. There's some other thing there. So he is a singer by art. He is a singer by articulation, but without knowing the theory. But there are many who know the theory, but you will never like to listen to them. That means there is a gap between the science of research methodology and the art of research methodology. So research and research methodology as a science and research as an art, there is a hyphen between them, that is called research management. So that is again RM. So here you get 3 RM. Research mind, number 1. Research methodology, number 2. Research management, number 3. So research management, RM, is in between the 2 other RM. First RM, research mind. Third RM, research methodology. And in the middle, you get research management. That means you have to combine your sense of science, your sense of theory, your sense of method with your sense of art, that is your substantive topic. So unless you combine Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, you will never get a Sangam. That will never a Sangam. That you cannot be a good researcher only knowing the methodological part. So in this session, I will be hinting at that what is that mind part, what is the cognitive structure, what is the thinking process that works before research methodology. So friend, I think I am sufficiently clear that research methodology is a broad concept. It has a mechanical part, that what conventional we talk about. It has a mind part, and it has a middle part, that is research management. So if unless and until a scholar is a master of mind, master of management, that his process, in spite of best process, he will fail. Just like a doctor, that he will say, my operation is 100% successful, and I have utilized all the latest tools, I have utilized all the latest machines, I have applied all the latest test techniques. So that means, so far methodology is concerned, I as a doctor, I as a surgeon is 100%, 1000% successful. But there is a small mistake. What is that small mistake? The patient died. Just imagine, the patient died is a small mistake, 1%, and he applied all the latest tools, techniques, and methodology, 99% successful. So what kind of surgeon? So what kind of success is that? So you have applied your research methodology, the mechanical part, the science part, the theoretical part, you have applied perfectly, but you are lacking, you are deficient in the research itself, the topic. So how to do that? So friends, I am not going to talk anything about mechanical part. Let me come directly to my topic, that is how to decodify, how to deconstruct that cognitive structure of a researcher. So unless you decodify it, unless you explain yourself that this is what I exactly want to do. So what to do, that you should be clear, that you should be sure. Then only you can say how to do. So, but most of the time in the classroom, we teach how to do. How to do. So, okay, but this is not the first time I'm giving a lecture. This is not the first time you are also listening a lecture. You must have been exposed to number of research methodology workshops, seminars, coursework in the university, in your colleges. But almost everything starts from research problem and goes to his conclusion, that is thesis, writing thesis conclusion. So here what I am going to share with you, only the cognitive part. So that I am trying to decodify, that I am trying to deconstruct, that the art part, the articulation part, that which you are going to express through your methodical part. So unless you have something solid in your hand, what you are going to express? What you are going to express? You are only going to express the mechanics, only express the method, express the structure, express the way. But where is the end? Where is the beginning? How to beginning, how to end? So that is the question. So friends, so the blending of what, why, and how. Research mind, research management, and research methodology. If you combine all three things, then it is called complete research methodology. So research methodology is a very wide concept. It has three aspects: what, why, and how. But unfortunately, we are only giving importance only to the third part. Fine. Now let us come to what and why to do. That is called the research mind part, first part. What? Ask your mind. Ask your mind decodify your mind, analyze the mind. Kaise? How? Because what to research is already there in your mind. Supervisors, guides, friends only help you. You should not do any research which is purely suggested by your supervisor. Maybe that very topic is a pet topic of the supervisor. Maybe that topic was a specialization of supervisor in his student days. Maybe the friend who is suggesting it is his favorite topic. So before choosing any research topic, you have to ask your mind. You have to ask that what I know, what is relatively or reasonably, where is my expertise? So unless you ask the question to yourself that where lies your core competency, where lies your substantive aspect of your mind, that you will be going ahead with research without, for example, the basics are there. Basics that to put on the tie, to put on a tie, I have to put on a shirt. And before the shirt, I have to put on a pant. So if I have pant and shirt, then I can go for a tie. But I do not have a pant, I do not have a shirt, I am bare-bodied person, I am hanging a tie like this. Same thing will happen to you. And it not only happened, it has happened. Most of the students, after doing hundreds of research methodology courses, hundreds of coursework courses, still they are asking, sir, what to start? Where to start? So the basic question. So to know what, you have to go to the genesis. You see, every knowledge, every piece of knowledge, whether in science, whether in management, commerce, art, technology, wherever, that every knowledge go through 3 stages. That 3 stages are genesis, diagnosis, prognosis. The topic you are choosing, whether on the suggestion of your supervisor or any other friend, that you have to go to the genesis. Okay, do I have any slightest idea, interest, any kind of knack, any kind of aptitude for that topic? So that comes first. That means that you have to know that what is the genesis of my research topic, which is given to me or I have chosen. If somebody has given you, you should also know what is the root, where is the origin, why it is given. If it is not given by anyone, you have chosen it, you should also ask yourself, where is the genesis? Sometimes, not sometimes, often we choose a topic because we are fascinated, because we fall in love with that topic. You see, we fall in love with many girls, but do we marry all girls? So falling in love, that is kind of, you may be infatuated, but that does not mean whoever will fall in love with will marry. So research, finding a research topic, choosing a research topic is a very mini research. So before you start the research, you have to do a mini research in your mind, that which topic I should start. So it is also a part of research methodology, but it is invisible part. It is not being taught. It is not being taught. It is really what people gather out of experience. People get out of trial and error. So I am sharing with you because I have also gone through many trial and errors. I have also committed many mistakes in my student days, even as a supervisor, even as a teacher. Because I am in the fag end of my career, I am going to retire the next year. But you think that whatever I have gathered, I have not gone through book. I have not got it from the book, not from my teacher, but doing something wrong, doing something right. So what I am sharing with you, as I told you earlier, it is not written in a book. So you have to either accept me or reject me. That is your choice. But I can impose upon you, because this is purely from my personal experiences what I am sharing. So Genesis. So Genesis, go to the genesis of a topic. That why, you ask question to yourself, 100 questions to ask. Why this topic? Do I have a little bit of competency? Do I have a little bit of command? What kind of command I have? So unless you cross-check yourself means your mind. Unless you cross-check your mind, unless you put question to your mind, that you will end up choosing a research topic out of fascination. Out of fascination, that is exactly what happens. So 9 out of 10 cases, either a topic is suggested by the supervisor or the candidate has himself chosen out of fascination. मेरे को अच्छा लगता है. मेरे बहुत अच्छा, I like this. So liking this does not mean that you have to do research on that. Liking something else. So that your substantive part, you have to know that how much, little bit I know, how far I can go. So these questions should be answered first in your mind, that is genesis. Then once you go to the root, then you have to apply, that is the second criteria, that is you have to apply, that is called diagnosis. As a doctor, before prescribing any medicine, you first go to the genesis of the disease. You ask you many questions. Particularly go to a homeopath. He will ask you 1,000 questions and you will get fed up. Because homeopath, not only homeopath, even allopath doctor, they will ask questions. If you go to a doctor and say, sir, from yesterday night, my stomach is up. And once you say stomach, you are not finishing the word stomach, there are some doctors who will start writing the prescriptions. He is not a good doctor. When you utter the word stomach, he presumed, he assumed, he hypothesized that you must be suffering from this disease. Maybe he is right. Out of his vast experience, maybe he is right. But that is not the way. That the patients are tumors lying in my, there is a fever, fever, paracetamol. But thing is that you have to go to genesis. Why the person is having temperature? Why the person having stomach ache? Why the person having headache? There must be some root behind it. There must be some genesis behind it. So before you diagnose a topic, so therefore I said genesis, then come to diagnosis. Once you are clear about that, then you go for prognosis. As doctor, prognosis, what is prognosis? Prognosis, that once a doctor is sure, you are a doctor, I am telling you, that you as a researcher is a doctor. Maybe you will getting the doctorate degree at the end, but you are a doctor. Unless you are a doctor, unless you do a mini research, before doing research, you will be completely failure, I am telling you. Failure means, I don't say you will not get a PhD degree, you will get PhD degree. You will be, there are so many hundred thousands of doctorate degree holders, you will be one of them. But what I am sharing with you, that it is a substantive part of research scholar, the mind part. So once you go through that genesis, then you go for that the diagnosis, then you go prognosis. Prognosis, what are the possibilities? If this, you diagnose this is the disease, you diagnose this is the root, what are its implications, ramifications, what are its future significance, what are the other effects? That is called prognosis, that you have to predict that. So before prescribing a medicine, a good doctor of his worth of his salt, he will go through that genesis of the disease, diagnosis of the problem, and prognosis, that what shape it may take. Then only he will go for a prescription. Therefore, this is a mini research. So that's why I told you that this is invisible part of research methodology. That you have to do in your mind. That you have to do in your mind. So then only you can arrive at a topic which is credible enough, which is objective enough, which is doable. Otherwise, for example, from my side, I like suppose, for example, the topmost heroine of say Bollywood. I love. That is 50%. So can I marry her? Because marriage 100%, 50% my side, 50% her side. So how can I be marrying her from 50%? So if you like a topic, that does not mean you will be a good researcher on that topic. Whether you are good or bad, that you have to cross-check through all these questions. So once you do that, that means you have started decodifying, deconstructing your mind. Okay. So now, so that is called that genesis, diagnosis, then come to prognosis. Okay. So once you go through these three parts, then you will have certain options before you. Certain shape will come out. Certain kind of results will come out. When you have go through this, that this is called analysis, that is genesis analysis, diagnosis analysis, and progressive analysis. When you have gone through the three kind of analysis, that certain kind of scenario, certain kind of possibilities will come before you. What are the possibilities? There are many possibilities, but for your convenience and time saving, because I have to finish with a particular time frame. For that, broadly speaking, five kind of scenarios may come before you. What are the five kind of scenarios? That through your research, maybe you are trying to invent something. If you are on science or technology, maybe you are trying to discover something new, fresh. Maybe you are trying to innovate something which was not existing. Inventing, innovating, discovering, all these three words, the connotation of these three words almost means same thing, that you are going for something fresh. Something fresh means by far no one has done it. Maybe that is one possibility. But that does not mean every research should create something brand new. I don't say every research is meant for doing something novel or something fresh. Then what is the second option? The second scenario is reinvent and renovate. Maybe what kind of research you are going to do, maybe you are not going to invent something new. Maybe you are not going to discover something new, but you are going to reinvent it. You are going to renovate it. It was already there. Maybe some other aspect you are adding, renovation. So it is called research by renovation. The first one was research by innovation. The first one was research by innovation. The second option is research by renovation. Renovation means here you are reinventing it with some perspectives, with certain new angles. The entire thing is not new, but angle is new. So that is also part of research methodology, and it is invisible part, and it is not being taught. It is not being taught. I am telling you, in the syllabus you will not get it. Okay. So the first scenario is invention, innovation, or discovery. The second is reinvention or renovation. You see, for example, you all of you know Amitabh Bachchan. He's popular now. He's 77, 78, but he's known as angry young man. He's no more young, no more angry, but still Big B is known as angry young man, because he started his career as an angry young man, being a single man army. Disum, he was beating black and blue, all the villains, and he was the winner. Single man army. So that is a kind of image that he created. And he tried, you see, it is a real life experience I'm telling you. He tried to continue with that. But after a time, he failed. And continuously his pictures, 10 to 15 pictures flopped at a time, even after being a superstar. Because he was trying to continue with that image, angry young man. Then he realized, no, I have to put a full stop on that image. I am no more young and no more angry. I can't afford to be angry because I'm old man. So he reinvented himself. He renovated his talent, and he did a lot of other things, lot of other kind of roles which are unthinkable that Amitabh Bachchan will do it. That means as an actor, he reinvented, means he researched that what to do. If you would have continued with that angry young man image, even at the age of 60, 65, then do you think you will go to cinema hall to see a old man fighting with a young man? Never. So he did different type of experimental films and he became successful. This is a real life story I'm telling you. So second scenario is reinvention or renovation of any topic. So maybe other people have done a lot of research on those topics, but you are trying to renovate it. There is an old house. There is old house. Maybe you are trying to put three, four more pillars. Maybe you are trying to do a different color. Maybe you are trying to do some extension. Maybe roofing you are going to check. So many things are there you can do. So research is not always about innovation. Is not always about new discovery. It's not all that invention. That it is also renovation also. That is second. The third scenario is called reprocessing. Reprocessing. You see, neither you are discovering something new, that is first option, nor you are renovating it, that is second option. You are going for the third option. What is that? Reprocessing. What is that reprocessing? Same thing, old wine in old bottle, but you are putting in a old wine in old bottle, but you are packaging in a different way. You are packaging with a different label, and that label itself creates a market. That label itself, for example, when I was a young man, I was a student of my college, I was after higher secondary, that time fashion was bell bottom pant. Bell bottom, I don't think whether you know bell bottom or not, that it is tight on the upper part and it is just like a loose part, just like a trouser in the bottom part, bell bottom. It was a craze, it was a style statement at that time. But gradually it became out of fashion. Same thing, ladies' dresses also. Many things out of it. But now it is coming again. It is being reprocessed. It is being repackaged. So packaging itself is a research. That it may be old thing, but you are trying to appeal the mind and psyche of the customers, the consumers in the market, that with a new kind of promise through your packaging. So that is also research. That is reprocessing, repackaging and reprocessing. That means you are, for example, yesterday I was going through one Asirvad Atta advertisement on the TV, and they are advertising that this atta is manufactured through this process. And one sort of TTR something they are selling that. What is that? It is in this machine, it is being taught this, that. It is not that the manual chakki is not being used, this is automatically used. You see, in any case, in atta is an atta. But they are claiming that their atta, Asirvad atta, is not processed through a chakki, handmade chakki. It is through an automatic machine. And there is less exposure to human hands. That is less chance of contamination. That is now everybody is that if the present age is like that, you simply add one word, immunity. Anything. You are selling a pen, that a pen with immunity. A pen, how pen will be do immunity? But it is a marketing gimmick. It is a strategy and it works. There is a fan called that is the one company that they have invented a fan, the antiviral fan. Antiviral, I don't understand what is that antiviral fan. That how it is, the fan is going to kill viruses. But you see, but they're explaining it, not that they're bluffing it. They're explaining that this process itself is help like this. So reprocessing any topic which is already researched, that maybe hundreds of theses have been written by scholars, but still you can do a research. You ask your mind. Therefore, I'm saying that you have to take your mind to task. You have to ask 100 questions before you start how to do. So if you ask that maybe you think ye to ho gaya, this has been done, mere liye kuch bacha, nothing is left for me, what should I do? No, whatever has been done you can do. There is a joke I'm telling you. Once I was in Osmania University, and I came to know there is a Hussain Sagar, there is a famous lake in Hyderabad, that 23 PhD theses have been made, that in that Hussain Sagar lake, there is one kind of algae that people, zoology people will know, I don't understand. Algae sivla, that is kind of that is available only in Hussain Sagar, nowhere else. So they have researched its properties, its characteristics, its utility. So 23 research has been already done on that algae of Hussain Sagar. This is joke. This is not true. Sorry, this is a joke. And one gentleman came that I have to do research on Hussain Sagar and particular on that algae. But he found that there is no scope because whatever he's thinking already done. So what he did, he was a very intelligent person. He did a super research on 23 that is called theses. That his research was to finding out the similarities and dissimilarities among the 23 theses already created. What is that? It is a joke. But in academic also, in science, in technology, in management, everywhere you will find reprocessing is a vast market as a research topic. Reprocessing and repackaging also. Okay, this is the third option. Sorry, because every time I'm looking at the clock, because I am instructed that I have to finish by that time. So I have many things to say, but I cannot. So the fourth option is that is called reprioritizing. Reprioritizing. You see, every topic, every thesis, every subject matter has certain priority. You see, in the methodology part, which I am not teaching you, other teachers will teach you, that is called what is the purpose of the research? What is the objective? What are the objectives? It is a critical part of component of research methodology, objectives. Isn't it? People write, my first objective is this, second objective is this, third is this, like this. 3, 4 objectives are here. Objective means priority. That through this research, I want to establish this. Through this research, I have to achieve this. These are the areas of priority. These are important things for me. Maybe that a particular kind of research has been done, but its priority, the priorities attached to it are something else. You have to put a new priority, a new objective into it, and you have to prove it. Not that you will fit a new objective into the old thesis and submit it as your new thesis. No, that is immoral. That is kind of hijacking. That is kind of toutery. That is called kind of it is called what should say conman. Academic, you are an academic conman. Cheat, academic tout. So don't do that. But if you are trying to put new objectives into it, then you have to start it fresh. But it is good for you because already works have been done. So some guidance you will be getting for it. You will not copying from it. You will not do the copy paste. But what you are getting, that you are getting the background. But you are not satisfied with the objectives. So now you put new objectives, but putting new objectives, you have to start fresh. But some guidelines are already there. That is called reprioritizing. So that is the fourth option, I think. Not last, because to my mind, these are the 5. There may be some other aspects also. But the fifth possibility, the fifth scenario is retelling. Retelling the same story, Mahabharata, Ramayana, that you see in the televisions, in the film, there were 100,000 times it must have been told, but every time with a new perspective. That in some Mahabharata, in most of the Mahabharata, it is Arjuna is the hero, and Sri Krishna is with the side of the hero, and Duryodhana is the villain. But some people have made research. No, that Mahabharata is never told to us from the perspective of Duryodhana. Mahabharata was never told from the perspective of Shakuni. Mahabharata was never told from the perspective of Dhritarashtra, Gandhari. They have their story. They have their perspectives. So you have to put new perspective. But story is same. Mahabharata characters are same. Same Dhritarashtra, same Kunti, Draupadi, same are there. Bhima is there. But here you are putting new perspective into it. So unless you put new perspective, that you will be doing stereotypes. So stereotype means you are moving the circle. That means you are not coming out of your comfort zone. That suppose we have seen Mahabharata serial made by B.R. Chopra. If now also that it's serial made, why will you see it? That when you will see it, you will find that the director, the writer, the author, means the script writer has put a new kind of perspective into it. So same thing, the story may be new, but the perspective story may be old, but perspective will be new. So that is called retelling. So retelling is also a kind of a scenario, a kind of eventuality that you can go ahead with research. That will come to your mind once you ask your question to your mind, once you decode your mind. So unless you decode your mind, that this new perspective will not come. That you want to do something which no one has done. So then you have to ask your mind, kya karna hai, what to do, what to do, what to do. And have you ever thought of that is called, suppose the other day I had giving a lecture that in some university, the topic was what is that, geopolitics and strategic integration of Hindustan. Geopolitics, strategic integration of Hindustan. This was the topic that is chosen by me, but topic was geopolitics in political sense. In political sense, my entire lecture was done on whom? The main entire lecture one was on that our Shankaracharya, Adi Guru Shankaracharya. People who were listening to me, first this man has gone mad. That the topic is geopolitics. People are talking about Pakistan. People are talking about Bangladesh, our neighbors. But he's talking about some Adi Guru Shankaracharya. But I proved it that Adi Guru Shankaracharya, he was the first, foremost strategist of geopolitics of India. Hindustan, not India, Hindustan. You just imagine a man coming from Kerala, Adi Shankaracharya, so he's coming from Kerala or bordering Tamil Nadu, he's coming and he has established a mott, 4 motts, where? In extreme north, Badrinath, in extreme south, Kanyakumari, in extreme west, Madurai, in extreme east, Puri. Do you know that through it is kind of a religious integration of geopolity of India. That nowhere it is written, but this is my perspective. You may agree, may not agree, but who will prevent me? Who will stop me going ahead with my new perspective? So as a researcher, try to dare, try to challenge the stereotypes. So you can put new perspective in the old story, in the old theses. Okay, so these are the 5 scenarios that may come out once you crib your mind. Now, I have to hurry up. Then comes, it is possible only when that it depends upon you. Who are you as a researcher? Whether you are a researcher by aspiration, you are a researcher by dream, you are a researcher by desire, or you are a researcher by accident. You are a researcher by default. That this is, I humbly sharing with you, sorry, that researchers can be divided into 2 types. Those who have researcher by desire, by inclination, by passion. They have a dream to be a researcher. But the other kind of researcher, by default, by accident, they have become researcher. He was trying to civil service examination. He tried to be a doctor. He failed there. He failed there. He failed there. Chalo kya karna hai? UGC is offering that some non-net scholarship, 8,000 rupees, or JRF, that 30,000 rupees. Let her go to be researcher. So that is a kind of researcher by accident, researcher by default. But the true researcher, who is researcher by passion, who is researcher by emotion, researcher by aspiration, by desire and dream, that he will always try to challenge his mind. So unless you challenge your mind, that you cannot get a new good area of research, good topic, good problem. Okay. Next comes that how you will challenge your mind. Now the real things come. A researcher has to put himself in a Q world. What is that Q world? Q world is very interesting. Q world, that as a researcher, you should always have a query to your mind. Query, query. And if your mind is full of queries, then you will come up with questions, many questions. If mind is full of queries, you will come up with questions. That is second Q. So Q world, that first you have to have a mind which is full of queries. First Q. Second Q. Once you have the first Q, then followed by second Q, that is questions. Number of questions, bombarding your mind. And once you have the second Q, that is questions, then you will have a third Q, how to satisfy, how to quench. Quench thirst. Suppose you are thirsty, you have to drink water. So third Q is quench. That is first Q, query, second Q, question. Third Q, how to satisfy your questions, quench. And when you try to satisfy your question, you will quest, you will search. Fourth Q, that means you see, first we started with Q, first Q is query, second Q is question, third Q is quench, and fourth Q is quest. You are searching, where is the water? I am thirsty, where is the water? So fourth Q, then comes, then that to quench your thirst, you are thirsty to drink water, you have two possibilities. Wherever water is available, we will drink it. Or you will be selective. So that means when you are thinking, suppose that if you are in a desert and you are thirsty, and if you are water, somebody is offering water, and you are saying, no, I will not drink it. This is not Bisleri. This is contaminated. No. So what happens in that situation? That whether it is Bisleri or it is a beast poison in liquid form, you will drink it. That means, okay. So that means the fifth Q is either your quest will be qualitative or it will be quantitative. Either qualitative or quantitative. That, or it may be a mixture of qualitative and quantitative quenching of your quest or thirst. Okay, and the last Q comes qualm, Q-U-A-L-M, qualm. That after satisfying your queries, after satisfying your quest, after satisfying your questions, still you are not satisfied. Then again you will go for queries. That means it's endless. It is endless. The Q word, Q. That you are always imprisoned. You are always there in the prison of Qs. So that is the symbol of a good researcher, that a good researcher should be always a prisoner. He should be a jail. He should be jail of the Qs. Then that is possible if your mind is working dynamically. Okay. Next come, that a researcher, when he is asking his mind, challenging his mind, putting question in his mind, that he will have two options, two scenarios. What is that? Either in a situation of plenty, or you are in a situation of scanty. The first one is called crisis of plenty. The second one is called crisis of scanty. Plenty means you have a lot of things and it is difficult to choose which has to accept, which has to reject. So you have n number of choices, you have number of options, you have number of alternatives. So having number of alternatives is a crisis. Just say you want to attend a party, that is very difficult to which dress to choose because you have 100 of dresses. Oh, blue, no. Red, no. So that means you are not satisfied with anyone because you have so many choices. But if you have only two dresses, naturally you will settle one. So what happens? That having a situation of plenty, it is a crisis. So researchers, sometimes what happens, that they have so much of sources, so much of literature, so much of knowledge, so much of data, so much of information, so much of research question answer, that get confused. So that is very, be careful. So when you have plenty, you will be challenged. And the other extreme is scanty. Scanty means scarcity. You are not getting any kind of literature, not any kind of information, any kind of data. It is a challenge. So that challenge of scanty is a challenge, and the situation of plenty is also a challenge. So a true researcher should be a balanced researcher. That whether you have scanty or you are in a situation of plenty, you should choose only for as per your requirement. But what happens? People, what they do, that because they have a lot of data, a lot of information, they have read a lot of things, so they want to put everything into the thesis. They make thesis of 300 pages, 400 pages. Irrelevant, unnecessary, pointless. So you have number of data, that does not mean that you will put all data, all in. So that is a problem. So you have to very choosy. You have to very to the point and particular. Never go by the size of your thesis. That people are, what is your size of thesis? 100, my thesis is 300. As if that in volume speaks here. As I told you, balloon is of this size, balloon. But when you put air into it, balloon becomes of this size. but actual balloon of not this size. Once you put a pin into that inflated balloon, it will come to this size. What is that? That you have put only air. So please, because you have lot of choices, because you have lot of data, information, that does not mean you will put and make the balloon bigger one. Not like that. Because the balloon looks bigger, but actually it is not bigger. What is there? Bigger because of air. But substance is not there. It is full of air. Substance is not there. So what you have to do, you have to make a balanced choice that what is my area of research, what is my research problem, what are my research questions, and what data. I may have many data, but never put into that. Okay, same thing, research scanty. Scanty means your scarcity. The scarcity or sometimes what happens, that because I am not getting any material, whatever I do, I'll put it and put my thesis. That is again immoral. Okay, next. Now it is 25 minutes. Okay. So what happens? This comes. There is a in Hindi. They call people inflate their thesis, make it artificially bigger. They rather inflate it. Why? Now that is called, they call dil mange more. Dil mange more. Matlab man karta hai. My mind says put it. So dil mange more. No, don't go by dil mange more. Rather go by what is the reason, what is the logic, what is the rationality. So as a researcher, you should not be driven by dil, by heart. No, heart, emotion should not drive you. It's the reason, logic and rationality. So forget about what your dil is asking for, what your heart is asking for. Dil mange more. No. Don't go by that. Then comes research. Good research is possible. This time is so short. I don't think I can do justice. Okay. Then comes a researcher. To be complete researcher, in addition to your research methodology, there should be efficiency, effectiveness, and integrity. What happens when we are doing research as strictly as per research methodology? It proves we are very efficient as a researcher. But that does not prove we are effective as researchers. That does not prove we have integrity in the research. So our research methodology teaches how to be efficient, but research methodology hardly teaches how to be effective and how to show your integrity. So I don't have time to explain because just one line I'm finishing. Okay, then that to ask your mind, you should have a sense of proportion, sense of timing, and sense of climb. That you are doing a research with reference to a particular time frame. You cannot say that women empowerment in Tamil Nadu. What does it mean? Tamil Nadu means Tamil Nadu came into existence 50, 60 years ago. So that means you are making research on that. So time frame. So you should have a time. That the time should be in your mind. That which time you are referring to. Climb. What are the situation at that time? Socio-political, economic, cultural condition of that time. Time and climb and proportion. There sometimes we speak very little and sometimes we see very much. That I already explained. Okay. Then unless you have that sense of proportion, the sense of time and climb, that you will end up doing research that in such a way that is all nonsense. Because that does not satisfy the test of time, the test of climb, and the test of proportion. Then comes flexibility in your perceptions. That as a researcher, you should not be a rigid one. I don't like that. I like this. This. As a researcher, you cannot be a chooser. You should put your liking, disliking the phrase. You should be objective. So if you are objective, then you should be very flexible. That as the demand of the topic of research, I will go by, in spite whether I like it or I don't like it. That's my point. So here what happens, that people become subjective. Researchers. Don't do that. Next comes sensibility and sensitiveness. That again it comes from your mind. That nobody can teach you. In research methodology, no one can teach you. As a researcher, if you are not sensible, you do not have sensitivity to other things, then you have a problem. That doing research, particularly in social science, I don't say that sensitivity, sensibleness in science, I don't have much idea. But in social science, art, literature, that sensitiveness and sensibility is must on the part of a researcher. That while doing a research, that you should take care of this. Otherwise, by research, you should not do something that which will be hurting the sentiment, emotion. That does not mean you will not state your thing. You will state your thing. Use such words, use such language in such a manner that without hurting anybody's sentiment or sense of say, suppose you are hurting a culture. You giving a blanket statement that all Muslims are terrorists. Muslim A is a terrorist, Muslim B is a terrorist, Muslim C is a terrorist, Muslim D is a terrorist, so all Muslims are terrorists. This is false generalization. This is false generalization. So this kind of that is called that blanket statement that you should not do like this. Okay, sensibility and sensitiveness was there. Then come out of stereotypes. That we always want to stay in the comfort zone. What is comfort zone? If I will do research on this particular topic, I will easily get data. I will say literature, so let us do that. No, dare, challenge yourself. Come out of your cocoon. Come out of your comfort zone. Rather, come out of stereotypes. People start doing the same thing again and again. Why? Because it is easy for them. If they will start something new, it will be challenging. Unnecessary, they are inviting trouble. No, don't think it is unnecessary. So try to come out of your cocoon, out of comfort zone, dare and think out of box. Think out something new. Okay. Next comes a researcher should do research not only the text, between the text. Read the lines. Also read between the lines. What does it mean? That sometimes what happens that we go to the text and blindly, senselessly, we quote it with an inverted comma. No, my point is that maybe that quotation, maybe that statement was given by a particular person, maybe that person in a particular reference to a particular situation. In a particular situation. So now if you don't go to the deep into the fact that why that statement was given, and that means you have to understand what is written there and you have to understand what is not written there. That is called reading between the lines, reading between the text. In the text it is not written, but actually maybe you wanted to, the writer wanted to say. So a good researcher has to read between the lines and read the lines, read the text and read between the text. That means unwritten. Maybe there is a philosophy behind it, but it is unwritten, unexpressed. So it is the duty of a researcher to find out. That is called unexpressed, unspoken statement. So a text has two types of statement. The statement of the writer, spoken and unspoken. So as a good researcher, you have to also read that what is the statement, but it is not stated. It is not stated. So that is called critical analysis. That is a critical analysis of the text. So when you are doing critical analysis, that means you are reading between the text, between the lines. Okay. So now comes the where to start. You must be thinking that this sir is speaking so many things, but ultimately when we are going to start writing a thesis, that we are having so many problems. So, but where to start? Doing a research, starting a research is as good as writing a love letter. When you are writing a love letter, you first write it, then don't get satisfied, throw it. Then write second one. So you are throwing not blank paper. That when you are writing love letter to a girl, that you are not satisfied in any, this is not the right way. Again, you threw it out. But what you are throwing? You are not throwing blank paper. You are throwing something already written. That means you have to start. You will think that I should start in the best possible manner, in the best possible way, which nobody has attempted, nobody has done. No, you have to start from scratch. You have to start as an idiot, as a stupid. So from stupid, you will be a scholar. That nobody becomes scholar overnight by writing scholarly from the very beginning. So I don't have time to explain, but just I shared with you. Okay, so only 12. Okay, so next comes have faith in yourself. That most of the researchers, after doing their coursework, after doing their research methodology course, then same question comes: how to start, where to start, can I do it, whether I'm fit for that, whether my thesis will be up to standard or not. So these kind of questions will come and challenge you, and you will be demotivated. So in that situation, but my take from me, my statement is like this: you are not going to the first stupid researcher in this world, and you are not going to be the last stupid researcher in the world. Before you, so many stupid like me also, that we also started writing thesis in stupid way, but doing things gradually, slowly, that you can also achieve. So have faith in yourself. Then as a researcher, you have to, last 3 points I will explain. As a researcher, you have to avoid certain traps. That is called research traps. Research trap means, in English they call it a kind of, to catch the animal, they put some trap, some kind of mechanism that they will be caught over there. So researchers are also caught in certain traps. What are those traps? First trap is, don't be pedantic. What is pedantic? Pedantic means, I believe this, I have said this, I know this, so this must be true. I am so unnecessarily, I'm so egoistic, I'm so overconfident, I'm so sure, I am not ready to accept the other's perspective. So don't be pedantic. As a researcher, there is no scope at all to be pedantic. If you are pedantic, that you are inviting trouble. Okay. Next, don't pretend to be an expert. That there are certain people, even as a researcher, they feel that I have expertise in this particular field. I know, I belong to this background, I belong to this culture, I belong to this religion, I belong to this region. So naturally, my knowledge on this topic is far more than others. No. What you know, you are thinking you are an expert. What you know, maybe you are knowing something, maybe, I don't say you don't know, but what you are knowing from your perspective, from your angle. You don't know, there are multiple perspectives, multiple angles. So as a researcher, it is not your duty only to impose your perspective over others. So don't try to be an expert as a researcher. Then whatever findings or research thesis you are going to write, don't think that your piece of knowledge which you are producing as your in the conclusion of a thesis, that is the beginning and end of the knowledge, because knowledge is always under construction. Knowledge is always like a unfinished house, always under construction. It is never constructed, never complete, always in the making. So you as a researcher only contributing to something, and before also people have contributed, and after you also people will contribute, and the process will go on. So that is called research. So research means research does not begin or research does not end. Research is a continuum, and it is an ongoing process. Maybe you have done something extraordinary work, but maybe somebody else will come tomorrow. He will do something better than you. Kapil Dev had got 100 wickets in the quickest time, that is 25 test match. And this record stood for 42 years. But few days back, it was broken by Jasprit Bumrah. And he took 100 wickets by 24 tests, one test before Kapil Dev. That means no record, nothing stands for posterity forever. So your knowledge, your kind of thesis, or your kind of findings may be good enough, but maybe tomorrow something else will come is far better than yours. So never think that you are going to produce something which will stand always unchallenged, unquestioned. No, it will not happen like that. So, and last 2 points, friends. Sorry, I have already taken 12 Only 1 hour 5 minutes, I think I will have taken. Only 2-3 minutes I will take, because I know the next resource person, he has some work and he will be joining soon. So only 2 minutes, sorry. That as a researcher, this is off the record, I'm telling you. Off the record means officially I'm telling you, but still then, as a academician, I cannot say, be careful of two ghosts and one God. In every research, there are two ghosts and one God. Who are the two ghosts? Unless you know how to control the two ghosts and how to please the God, that you will be nowhere. First ghost, you yourself. You are a big host. That your mind is always threaten you. I can't do it. This is not up to standard. Or this is not like this. So that ghost comes from within. That is you. Take care of yourself. Second ghost, public, friends, लोग, people, what they will say. लोग क्या कहेंगे? लोग क्या करें? You are doing research not for लोग. You are doing research for objectives. Second ghost, public. Public includes friends, other वगैरह वगैरह. Two ghosts and one God. Who is the God? Your supervisor. But here is the problem. The God can also be a ghost. So if already you have two ghosts. One within you and second one in other. And third one supposed to be your God. But if by mistake he becomes your ghost, you have three ghosts. So you have to work within three ghosts. Just like you see your tongue is working non-stop within 32 sharp teeth. But rarely the tongue gets pressed by the teeth. That means that kind of balancing the tongue knows, it is automatic. So as a researcher, you have to balance yourself as a dancing girl on a tight rope. That three ghosts are always there to threaten you. So be careful, three ghosts. So friends, don't get scared by my statement. Don't डरो मत. जो डर गया so समझो मर गया. जो डर गया समझो मर गया. डर तो सबको लगता है, गला सबका सूखता है, लेकिन डर के आगे जीते माउंटेन ड्यू, कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स. थैंक यू फ्रेंड्स.
Thank you, respected sir.
So I hope I have finished in time.
Yes, sir. 10 minutes more.
Biplab?
No problem, sir. I think so.
Okay.
So, sir,
Okay. So
thank you, sir, for your within a call you have agreed to come and join our workshop, and you have rightly told the qualities which research scholars require, and you have also nicely explained the science and arts of research methodology. Thank you, sir. May I now introduce, dear participants, to Professor Utpal Kumar De. He is a well-renowned professor of Department of Economics from Northeast Hill University, Shillong. He has 26 years of research experience with 13 books published under his name, 4 dozens of publications in international journals, 3 dozens in national journals, 39 articles in edited books, dozens of conference proceedings, working papers, discussion, policy papers, book reviews. He have around 7 dozens of national international seminars he have attended as a keynote speaker and as a resource person. He has been invited lecture as an invited lecturer in many universities and colleges. He has also commissioned research paper from ICSSR, NERIC. He is associated with IGNO, NEHU, and also ICSSR, NERIC. He holds various administrative positions in NEHU, and he is also a visiting scientist of ISI, Kolkata. So we are pleased to have him within us. Sir, if you can hear me kindly, let me call to him. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. It's clear.
Okay, just a minute here. Weather is very bad. It's raining. So, good afternoon, the participants and the organizers for inviting me to have some interaction with all of you. He had sent me the list of participants. I saw it is a gathering of a variety of that is faculties and other staffs from different disciplines. I did not see the face of the people. So is it that internet is very poor? That's why you have kept it off? So
No, sir. We have not kept it off, sir.
okay. Okay. So I am asked to discuss something about the research methodology, that is methodological aspects of a research. Actually, it is a methodology. There are various aspects of the methodology. There are different criteria, different sides of this. So it's very difficult to do justice in just a few minutes or less than 1 hour. Anyway, just in brief, what are the things that one has to give emphasis while following a research or undertaking a research, I can tell, and thereafter that what are the steps to be followed, that is methodological steps. By that, many people confuse that only calculation, what will be the steps to follow for the computation or writing steps if it is a research for the non-mathematical or the descriptive type of work, that is for political science, sociology, history, literature, linguistics, and so on. So methodology is not only computation or the writing, the steps for writing a piece of the article or a thesis or whatever you can say. It is about a structure of the whole work that you are going to do or fulfill, or in order to fulfill some objective or to arrive at some conclusion. So there are various aspects. That's why I told. So in whole research methodology, that's why what it comes first is that what you want to do. You want to search again. So the research means you are re-examining something. Already something is examined, maybe theoretically or maybe empirically, whatever it has been examined and narrated. And so piece of writings are available with us, what we call the literature. So the literatures are there, you can go through, and from there you can choose a topic on which what we call you can go for the re-examination. That means some issues you have to undertake on which you will do your work or re-examine. Maybe some examinations have been done earlier, some conclusions or theoretical arguments are given behind it, but some suspicion came to your mind that whether it is still true or not, or whether it can be applicable, whether it is relevant for the present day policy formulation. So these type of questions may come to your mind. So what we do, that's why there is a need to re-examine, because nothing is perpetual in this world. Something you said yesterday that may not be correct today, that may be again changed for tomorrow. So it is a continuum process, and whatever outcomes once that finds, or the whatever findings from one research one gets, so in future it may change. So it's a temporal issues are there, and spatial variations will always be there. So because whatever is said 50 years back or 30 years back, that may not be correct, or that may hold good even today. That is maybe some fundamental issues are there that may not be changed, but for circumstantial that can change. So because in some in some natural sciences, many of these cases, like your Newton's law, that still hold, it does not change. So gravitation theories, but related to gravitation, many other things are there which are not clearly examined or somewhere obscured, so now become more clear with the re-examinations. But in social science or literature, whatever you see, it is a more volatile. It changes with the society, changes over time because of the changing need of the society, changing composition of the society, changing the thinking and ideological issues that is attached to it. Many of these things change from place to place, that change from time to time. And that's why, that, as I said, that the researches, it can be both a theoretical as well as maybe descriptive, which is analytical on the one hand, and another one hand, the descriptive that comes through empirical analysis, empirical observations. Through empirical observations, of course, you can go back to the theories again. So some of the theories are there which can be proved empirically. Some of them may not be possible to prove empirically. Through logical explanation, you may have to prove. So these are the things that is adopted in a research methodology, and all this normally comes from earlier studies or some of the studies which has not been undertaken but has some relevance, so which comes to your mind today. So you can go for examination or re-examinations. Many of the analysis which are not required earlier to do, like 70, 80 years back, when pollutions are not so high, so people did not care about. When resources were plenty, population were very less, so interpersonal relations did not matter much when the distribution of the resources question comes, because it was so plenty. But when there is a population is very high, the resource is constrained, so there is interpersonal relations. So because one's welfare, for that, when you reallocate and allocate more, so definitely others get less of this pie. So there are questions how judiciously resource allocation could become. So researches and on these policies are to be undertaken, but earlier those things are not there. So many of the things newly being developed, which has a direct connection with the welfare of the individuals in the society. And so you need to examine or introduce in your literature, and how it becomes relevant, that is shown through the research activities or investigations. It's an investigations basically. But many of the things are there already developed, but again that required reinvention or re-examinations or cross-examinations, and through that you can go for it, re-examine, verify, because it varies across the space and it varies over time. So what is it? Because it's some of the analysis or the theories that has been provided 100 years back, 50 years back, that become less applicable, or if you apply it for the policy formulations, that gives some wrong outcome, or whatever objective is to do the policy, that objective may not be matched, or it may be wrong. So because this publications, doing research is a continuous process, and so so on several related topics that one can go through, because some of the topic I am telling now, that topic might be same earlier, but there may be many of the researches happened related to it. Because when you make a research complicated, because some of the variables you considered for analyzing a particular issue, so later on many dimensions may be developed. So with the changing dimensions also, the conclusion or the results may vary. So how it changes over time, so that is needed through theoretical That's why writing, whatever writing on a particular issue you have 50 years back, so later on, the recent years writing on the same issues, you may find that it is changing. Why these changes happen? So a review type of research one can do through the review of the literatures that have happened on the same or related topic over the years. And so how the outcomes change if you can go through, so you can give a new jargon or new arguments on the same issues. Similarly, through empirical observations also it may happen that many of the social or economic or other activities which is related to the human welfare that has been observed 30, 40, 50 years back, you may not see today, or you may see newer dimensions of those things empirically. As for agriculture, many of the crops vanished now. So those were cultivated earlier. Those earlier varieties now being replaced by new, or a composition may change. People may, so those why those changes happened. So these things happened because of the changing scarcity. People need more resources for their survival, so they diversify from one to another. One is replaced by another. Newer dimensions how developed through the scientific development, or maybe availability of the technology, or sometimes one may be pushed by the marketing conditions and so on. So all this ultimate objective is to have an optimum social welfare or the development of the people. So how it can contribute, and all these are linked with the changing empirical observations. So looking at that observations, one may have something in their mind, or the question may come that why such changes you are observing today, isn't? So earlier there was a system in place. Now new system has been evolved. Why that system changed, that is may not be known to us, and we want to re-examine this. So that's why I tell through theoretical writing, and it changes over the years. One can compare and reinvent or redefine the relationships, the hypothesis, whatever examinations done, newer theories may come, or from the empirical observations that change over the years. So one can identify the issues that they want to investigate. The question then comes about the research gap. So through the literature, when you see, or through the changing empirical observations, if you go through, then you may find that some of these things which needs to be explained but has not been done by anybody. So that is a purely missing work, you can say, though exactly all works may not be missing. That's why many people say that I am not finding any work on Assam, I am not getting any work on this marketing in Jharkhand. Actually, that there is no missing. Maybe the same issues have been described on the basis of, or by using the information available in some other state, some other country, or like that. You have to go through the main point. So you may choose, instead of a vast topic, a small thing, but you have to go into deeper analysis and get the tuning of it. So that is one thing. So by that way also one can identify the research gap. It is not that somebody did this work on the poverty in Nagaland, so nobody did in Tripura, so it is a research gap. So research gap is not like that. You have to identify the logical understanding behind it, whether it is relevant, whether there is a theoretical argument and there is any loopholes, or by utilizing some other technique you may get more or a better result, which has better applicability to the society, and it is a superior outcome over the previous outcomes. And why superior, how it happened, and whether the superiority is shown because of some wrongdoings or wrong analysis or results. So that also you have to cross-examine. No, you are applying a method which is better than the methods that is adopted by the earlier people, and that's why they got that different type of result. So that thing should come to your mind. That's why we say that in the research gap, that why such changes happen. So anything, if you observe some changes over time empirically, which does not match with the existing theories. So if theory is adopted, whatever given substantially some years back, So it cannot explain the changes that has been observed in the society. In the society, some changes you are observing. Theory, whereas says something. So it says that if suppose, for example, price declines, the demand for such and such good will be increasing. As a current present day, people are saying that because of the corona, that people's expenditure capability has been declined. Why expenditure capability has been declined? Because many of the people became unemployed, so their earning has been lost. They became more vulnerable. So earning, whatever they are getting, they want to save it more so that they can sustain in future. So their expenditure capability, so something. But simultaneously, when you look at the market, price level is rising. So how economic theory can explain that with less expenditure capability, with less income with the people? So effective demand is less in the market, how price level is rising? So it is not being explained by the existing theories. Why there is a regional deviations of the prices, one can say. If you look at that, the whole economy is being shrinked. So it has been shrinked in the last 2 years, but your share market is booming. Why share market is booming? Is it confronting with that? Now people say that when interest rate will be reduced, then there will be entrepreneurs will be encouraged because their profitability will increase, and so they will take loan, more and more loan from the banks or other financial institutions. But the government announced this year even very low interest to encourage that medium scale or small scale industries. But still, the demand has not been increased. Demand for liquidity, demand for money. So you want to inject money, but in the market, but no takers are there because there is uncertainty. Some people, they think that I can take the money even if at zero interest you provide me, but if I want to have a new venture and produce something, but where to sell, there is no market for that. So all these things, one is contradicting the others. Interest low, demand for the money less. If there is no production in the market, people's demand is being less, how price level is rising in the market? So theories, all these becoming contradictory and very difficult, inexplicable. So how can you explain with the changing scenario? So you need to have a redesigning of your research. What is the design of research? That's why research methodology all about that. Is all about the design of your work. So why such changes happen? Which could have been possible or which could not be possible? If it is possible, then how it has been happened? What are the facts of which is different from what is ought to be? It is ought to be like this. So looking at that, or cannot be explained with the existing literature. Or if anything you want to say? I heard something noise. Anything is there? No response. Anyway, so like that, looking or going through that literature, one has to identify all these gaps that I mentioned here, and that is called that's why review of literature. So literature review. Through that, some questions again may come to your mind, as I said, through some changing empirical situations or empirical observations over time or spatial variation. So one can identify some research questions in their mind which they may like to look into, or that there may be some literature gap through that examination which either changing over time or does not match with the empirical observations. So one can find out an issue which needs to be, or a topic which needs to be examined, and that gives the basis of choosing the title. In addition to that, there are plenty of some research questions come to your mind, but as a researcher, can you go through any of this research? All these are doable. So many of the things is possible to do in the existing scenario. Many of that may not be possible to do. Now, what are the criteria that will help you to choose a particular topic? So there's many of these are there. Something is the contemporary relevance. The many people, when they write that they says that the motivation of the research. So where from you got the motivation? Why you want to look at it? Or contemporary relevance? Because these people are involved in such activities. So if we know the correct path of the argument, then we can frame the policies, or it may help in doing new policies for the welfare of such categories of people. Now, suppose that there are crores of people in a particular area, but the issue that you are taking up maybe of a few thousand populations. I am not telling that this few thousand is not important, but there may be some bigger issues which could be taken up. And if their welfare is considered, then these few thousand would automatically be taken care of. So contemporary relevance of what are the importance, so that becomes one issue, and that's why it's also called the empirical relevance. That is, empirically you need to do. Just it is not that I have to do some research and that's why I am doing. It is not that the number of bricks increased in some areas, so I want to look into where from this brick came and how. This can be, but it becomes a very, very, very trivial issues in that case. So triviality should not be there. And there must be doability, whether it is feasible to do, that is feasibility. Because for doing such work, if you want to examine through some empirical information or observations, that observation may not be possible to collect. That depends on many other things, and that is another. What are those things? One is the capability of the scholar. The scholar's capability. You are tuned in your theories, in your previous studies. You have efficiency in sociological issues, some of this, and no mathematical ideas. So you want to take up a issue which needs a rigorous mathematical analysis. So how can you do? Either you have to take help of others, or you have to learn yourselves, and that may take 10 years, 20 years. So you may not have sufficient time to go through that or learn that. So that will be a big issue problem, that in time you may not be able to publish some of the research papers, which is the main objective of doing a research. It is not that just for the sake of writing without any use, I will write and throw. It is not an ideal curiosity one does like that. With some objective or purpose, people do a research. What is the purpose of that research? And if that is not satisfied, why you will undertake such research as a research scholar? So it's not the ideal curiosity that I am sitting, there is a paspati play like that, you are doing like this. So capability is very important, doability is very important. Then availability of the materials. So if you want to do work on certain issues, but the materials may not be available there, it may be in somewhere else or something. So and for that collection, you may need huge time, or you may need a very help of others. So that is another. So availability of materials is very important. You want to see the issues of the fishermen, but you stay in the hill areas. So there you have to go to the fisheries area, you have to go to the sea, ocean, where the fishing goes on. So that if your samples do not belong to your region, whether it is possible to go to the other regions where because you cannot do a survey on the people who are not engaged in the fishermen people. So they cannot constitute your universe or from which you can draw your sample. So sampling and all these things will come afterwards, and that is another issue. Similarly, the resource and the time constraint. The work, even if it is possible or doable, so source of finance or your own self-finance, it may not be sufficient for doing that work. So it may be that 5 years, 6 years, or 10 years you need to complete that particular research. So for which you have to employ some people, manpower for collecting resources, other materials, and you have to invest huge money, whether you can manage on your own or you can manage it from other resources. So that's why both the Lakshmi and Saraswati stay together nowadays. So rich people, a rich country, they can devote more resources. There we see very good researches or outcomes coming up, because they can apply better technology also for defining or re-examining all these issues. And time, that whether it will be possible for you to tolerate for such period of time. Those who are unemployed, they are objectively, maybe they are doing this research, that after doing this research, it will enhance my capability and employability, But if it takes 20 years or 15 years, you already become 55 or 60 years old. What is the purpose of doing that? If it is ideal curiosity, I don't want job, that's I want to do because I have an interest to understand these things or re-examine these things. So that is where rarely happens. But most of the people, they do with a purpose. So whether you can spare that period of time. So after considering all these things, and the method that I described earlier, that by going through and defining the research gap, the question which we will come to your mind, that will be giving you the research questions. Questions means this question has not been addressed earlier. These questions that was earlier addressed gave this type of result, but I presume because my practical experience says like this, so analysis could be developing this type of result could be different than earlier one. So looking at all these things, so why you have to take a title, because research questions will be reflected from your title itself. So that is the title of the research or the issue that will be investigated. Now these questions actually giving you the objective and the hypothesis that why such things happen. Then you can see that these changes may be possibly impacting like this. Just recently, one of my students about to finish her thesis, like that, that in some parts of the Northeast India, there was some ethnic violence. A few years back, many people died. So something came to my mind that over the years in several census reports, you just see that from that area, the ethnic groups which are suffering more, they may be fleeing outside, fleeing to the other areas where there are more people of that like staying. Suppose if you are one particular community, your friends or your relatives are staying far away in some village or some district, and here every day you are beaten by another dominant group, so you will be liking to run out and stay or migrate to those areas where you will feel safer. So the opposite case also may happen. So after 2, 3, or 4 census, you may find those villages will be only one particular ethnic community which are dominant earlier. Maybe a few people will be staying despite suffering so much because they have huge ancestral property and they cannot sell those. So segregation will happen, that one group will be in one village, another group only will be in that village. So others cannot stay there because they will not be able to tolerate the beating or exploitation, all these things. So whether that segregation happens, so it comes just from the ideal curiosity, but from the data you re-examine, and to certain extent we found that it is true that last 30 or 40 years that segregation, gradually a tendency of segregation is happening. So questions come to your mind, then you can re-examine. Theoretically it is possible, so a theoretical argument has been given behind it. Then by using the empirical data, you can cross-examine whether it has really happened. If not happened, then what are the other reasons, or whether institutional mechanism helped it not to change, or how it changed. So this is another questions that will come to your mind, and how you can analyze. So these research questions will provide you will provide you the basis of your analysis, for which you need several techniques. So that is the next step of the research methodology. What are the techniques? That is, first is the theoretical argument you give or provide, so that you can make your model formulations, the model that will re-examine or will be examined by you with the help of some technique. What are those techniques? Maybe some statistical techniques, maybe some tabular expositions, maybe some diagrammatic expositions. Now, what are those expositions? Expositions on some empirical observations, empirical information, so data. As I said earlier, the collection of information or collection of data, it cannot be from anywhere. The plentiness will be there. If you want to examine the intention of the tourist to visit a particular area, so you have to examine, or you have to ask questions to the potential tourist, not to anybody. The persons who never visit any places, So whether you will pay more, whether you want to spend something to visit a particular area, what answer he will give. Because he never visited any place, he does not want to visit any place. So you have to have the tourist or potentially who can visit. Only then only you can get some information from them. And then they must be having or they must be aware or having full knowledge of the scenario. If they don't know anything of it, then what analysis they will do or what type of information they will provide. So that is a different technique, that is called the technique of sampling or sampling technique, through which you will choose the proper samples which can be representative of the populations, and who constitute that population. That becomes a big question. That some of the sampling technique I may provide you here. But time though I think will be another 15-20 minutes left, so it may not be possible. So a proper sampling one has to follow, and then it becomes so hazy. Can you see me? Can you hear?
Yes, sir. You are visible and we can hear you clearly, sir.
Because it became foggy, because here raining, you can hear the sound, no?
No, yes, sir. Sound can be heard, but yet you are clear, sir. Clear enough.
Okay, because huge sound, the cloud burst. So like that, so through proper sampling, because you cannot examine the whole of the population. So population may be very big, so lakhs or crores. So proper sampling which can be a representative of that population, and then by collecting or gathering informations which are relevant on those issues, because you cannot ask any question. The questions will be related to the issues of your research. If you want to examine the potentiality of the demand changes, so you have to ask whether they really need it, because they may be indifferent. So their question of the demand or non-demand will not come. So whether diamond price is gone up or diamond price is low, it does not mean anything to me, because I don't consider diamond any valuable resource. It is like a soil, like that. Whether it is there, it is not there, whether price gone up or not, I don't consider. I am not concerned for that. Maybe the demand for particular commodity which concerns us, then you can ask some question to me, I will give you proper answer. So relevance must be there. So the questions will be framed in that way. And then how to gather that information, again that question will come, your expenditure capability, timeliness, distance, whom you are questioning, how. Because if you question some illiterate people, suppose there are questionnaires, one technique is there. You mail some of the questions to a person and he will write the answer and return to you. But suppose he is an illiterate person. So how can you, but the person is relevant for the demand and all these things. So there you have to go and face to face. Some enumerator must be there, some researcher must be there, some field investigator must be there. You can engage by paying some money, and field investigator may go and directly ask him that when this happened, do you agree with this? If this is increased, whether you demand, how much you had demanded last day, yesterday, how much you consumed, how much you have spent, what is your income. So directly if you ask question, maybe possibly may answer. If there also language is an important, the same type of language they follow. So various issues are involved, that how to constitute the population and then draw the sample. You may draw some samples which may not be representative of the population. You may draw some samples which are very relevant, but they have some other limitations. They are more appropriate to be surveyed, but limitations are there. You cannot send questionnaire. You may have to go for direct interview. Sometimes if you neither follow the questionnaire nor interview schedule, there are passive observations are there. If you want to do something that one person, so whether last 6 months or 1 year, there is any improvement or not in their socio-economic conditions, but neither you can, they may hesitate to tell you that every day they buy loaf and this type of foods they are taking. So what others will mind, I shall not speak like this. So only that passive observations may work in that case. So what are those passive observations? So like that. So maybe in the morning, the person goes for marketing. So you can visit without telling that you are following him or her. It must be done independently. Others should not know that you are following. So you can see that the previous 1 week, in the beginning of the month, he is buying every day some fish or some chicken or something, paneer or some quality foods. And in the middle of the month, you can, from distance, you can observe he is buying very basic materials of the sustenance or survival. So from there, you can make that. In the beginning, some earning or salary he got. Once it is exhausted, towards the end or from the middle of the month, his purchasing pattern change like that. So if you ask a direct question, they may not answer. If you write to them that you reply, they may not reply. As such, in India or all the developing countries, if you mail questionnaire, the response rate is very poor. So barely 25 to 30%, and many people do not even respond. If they don't respond, how can you examine that? So that is one thing. Now, how to draw samples? There are others, the random sampling method, non-random sampling method. The various ways are there. Now, a few slides I may show on that, and then those information that you gathered, which are related to the variables which are needed to examine your research question and hypothesis. So only on those variables you will collect information. It should not be too much cumbersome. You want only some points to examine, but you have a questions of 15 pages. And looking at your 15-page question, the potential respondent may run away. 2 hours or 3 hours will be spoiled. I have many urgent work. I am going out. Later on, you come to me. Or you leave the question. I will answer and send you back. Maybe later on, they will not send back. Many a times it happened that in a group you are collecting some information, and many of them are very reluctant, but they cannot say no to you. You came from town, you are a very powerful person. So what happened? They asked the other friends who filled that form fast. What did you write? Yes, no. It's income. I wrote 20,000. He is a very rich person. Okay, likha 20,000. He also wrote like that. A beggar also writing 20,000. So looking at what others have written, they also reply in that way. So you have to avoid that. In that case, that passive observation methods or experimental method of collecting information or generating information. In experiments, you generate information or the data. And in passive direct observations, you can gather information. So by looking at their behavior, their acting, whatever they do every day, and then you can analyze that. So then only you can gather some information which will be reflecting the more relevant issues which is pertinent for your analysis or the research that you are going to undertake. Then comes the question of your presentation. As I said, that the data very simple by putting in some tables also. Then many people have some idea, or they are thinking that unless there will be some alpha, beta, gamma, some equation, some mathematics, so may not be, the research will be very good. Even by simple tables, data speaks. Many a time, data also misguides. That as I said here, this year's price is rising and exorbitantly, especially the food inflation. But the farmers, they are not getting the real price. The people's expenditure capability has gone down. So why? Because the data is there. It may be reflected if you really introspect through that information. Whatever information you have to introspect properly, re-examine. You have to understand the data. Otherwise, there may be a problem just by looking some correlation, some variability. This is just yesterday. One student, not my direct student, somebody came and asking me that, sir, I found out the growth rate during 1950 to 80, that 30 year, that became something more than 4. And again, from 80s to 2010, the next 30 years, I found more than that, about 5. So if first period is 4 and second period is 5, then your the whole period, if you take the growth rate, it should be between 4 and 5. So why it became below 4? That means below the first period as well as second period. So overall growth, some calculations mistakes is there. Then I told the method you follow, whatever is the nature of the data, unless you see or examine it properly, then you cannot get the proper result. Because analysis has to be proper and appropriate, which can be applied, because the nature of the data will sometimes, it's a non-stationary data. So when you take to sub period, in the middle of the periods, the values are too low, the other sides very inflating, so weight is in the distance that are getting more. So in each periods very high, but when you take the average, so it may not always reflect until and unless some we call the outlier data, unless you remove them. Data smoothing, data re-examination, data validation. Some year like that. Another research a few years back, I got that, I was the expert there, that every 3 year, 4 year data is 500, 600, then 650, then 750. So growth rate will be something. Then suddenly 5th year the data is 11,000. And all 5 years data he is using to estimate the growth rate. That 11,000 is wrong, because if 750 next year could be 8 or maybe less than 750, maybe 700, if ups and downs. But suddenly 10 times more, that may not be related to the variable you are examining, because that year maybe some external source provided you some help, that 11,000 you keep it today. So that maybe again next year it will be 700, 800. So real growth. So that year's value has to be redundant, has to be deleted from your scheme of analysis. But they do not understand. So they are trying to find out the impact of X on Y. So these are the policies and its impact. But that particular 1 year, which became 10 times of the normal values, every year 5, 10 or 20 changes, and very high growth, this, that, and conclusion is drawn as a bug-bust type of analysis. So one cannot do like this. So data has to be first a tabular way one can present, and through the table itself, you can understand many of the thing, or you can introspect and highlight many of these issues, or you can first examine otherwise through a diagrammatic presentation. A scatter way you can put the data, and data will show you something, then you go for the mathematical analysis, because before doing any mathematical modeling, then you can have a rough idea through the diagrams that you can draw from the same data, or you can present in a scatter. So some of the data points you will show you. Then you go for the statistical analysis. So if you do it correctly, then data will not mislead you. Otherwise, this data or information that you have collected may mislead you, and you may end up with some wrong result. So this is in very brief. After the analysis, whether it is a cross section, whether it is a time series, whether it is a panel or type of data, whether it is across the social groups or for different social groups separate analysis, how we had different cases for examination of the hypothesis, you may have to follow. Sometimes you can mix the whole population, then you mix the whole sample also. The sample that may constitute of several social groups, heterogeneous population. So for each and every group, you can have separate analysis, and then you can make a comparison, or you can mix it. So it will depend on the objective of your work, whether you want to have a comparative analysis, whether you want to have an overall examinations, and what you want to do. So all these things, then you will come up with some result through tabular presentation, through diagrammatic presentation, through appropriate statistical techniques, and thousands of statistical or econometric techniques for those who will do with the information analysis. If it is a numerical data, or is a categorical, or whether it is a qualitative, many other things are there, and one aspect will take one hour lecture like that, how to examine those things. So if I have to go, only for 5 minutes left, so I should avoid. I had kept here some PowerPoint, wanted to show you. Chalo, theek hai. So then through that analysis, you will get some of the results, and those results that will speak, these are the findings. Looking at the findings, then in any research will be incomplete until and unless you compare with the earlier findings. Suppose it is not a totally new research. Many people have done earlier. You got some theory, and those theories, theoretical explanations, you got some idea. But through your new empirical data that you have collected, you wanted to cross-examine, you analyzed it, you got some result, and whatever conclusion you can draw from your own findings, then you can compare with the results that was obtained by earlier or conclusion drawn by earlier 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, or previous year. Then you can say whatever work was done earlier still holds good, and this is the new theory. If you refute that, no, earlier work had some issues involved. Why that changes happened? Because in any research, you will have 3 dimensions. What happened? You have to see what is the matter, what is the changes, what repercussions. Then how it happened. Slowly happened. Initial years very less, later years very fast, or at a constant speed it happens. So over time it is. If it is a cross section across the society in the same manner it happened. No one group, SC, ST's case it happened in that way. For the general it happened in that way. For low income group it happened in that way. For the higher income group it happened in a certain way. So then you can compare and give that why the difference. Maybe still that old theory is relevant because of this different dimensions, result become different. Or whatever dimensions you take, maybe old theory is now discarded. So from your own findings, then you give a newer jargon that if these constraints are undertaken, if these informations are collected, so these results will be applicable for particular social groups or particular place, and newer policies may be developed. So like that, cross verifications of this hypothesis, if you do, then you may come up with a newer theories. So whole purpose of your research then only will be fruitful or will be utilizable. So after that, you can prescribe some policy prescriptions. Where many of the people, they in the objective I see they write that my purpose is to provide conclusion and policy prescriptions. Are Baba, without policy prescriptions in mind, on the basis of your objective or research questions, that the whole research is futile. It has no applicability. Definitely you will provide some conclusions of whatever is the outcome of your research, how it can be linked with, because you are doing in social science research, even if you're natural science research, some compound you developed from some plants, from some roots, from some plant or trees, from some fruits, etc. And by applying different method at different temperature, at different mechanism, you extract some of the compounds or others. That also has some purpose. I am doing because this disease is non-curable, or even if it cured, it is more costly. Whatever existing medicines, whatever existing method of treatment is available. So if I do this, it may provide you a cheaper method, a cheaper source of the treatment of that. So that objective is there, and all the researches in line with the social welfare or development mechanism. It cannot be an ideal just for the sake of doing. I mixed some of the material with some of the fruits or roots, then I got this compound. Its color is different, compound behavior is different. If you apply on a human or some animal, so its behavior is changed, genetic formation change. It is not like that. So purpose must be there behind it, that this will be helpful for improving their quality, improving their behavior, improving their mental strength, improving their productive capability, or curing some disease, etc., etc. So everywhere, that is a physics, chemistry, political science, has some purpose. But natural science, there you have more control over it because you do the experiment at home in the laboratory. But social science, many research we do outside, which cannot be controlled, which is beyond our capacity, some of the natural phenomena that may affect them. But over a long period of time, despite some variability, we can find out some consistency. So through that, with some aberrations or some errors also, still we accept those findings. But ultimately, we compare with those previous results, and finally, we give a policy prescriptions. So this is a very bit about the research methodology. I told you, I was thinking to show you how sampling what are the sampling techniques available, how the samples are drawn, what constitutes the sample. So details of that, it may take another 2 hours. So I don't want to go for that. Already 1 o'clock, so I should stop here. If you have any question, you can call 1-2 minutes. Otherwise, I will end up here. Thank you very much. Do you have any question? Hello, Logade, do you have any question? Any participants? Mr. Logade?
Yes, sir. So dear participants, if anyone have any questions to be asked to sir, can kindly approach.
I gone very fast.
Yes, sir. I don't think they have any questions. And you have given some pertinent, important issues regarding the design of research work, and that too in a capsule form, which otherwise it is difficult to understand because the topic is so large topic, but you have done it in small way that we can easily understand. Thank you, sir, for your outstanding lectures on this topic. And we wish to hope in future we will associate with you. And thank you for coming with us in this workshop. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
all
sir.
the best. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So you may allow me to leave. Okay. I am going out of the connection. Okay.
Okay, sir. No problem, sir.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Okay, dear participants, now we'll have the lunch break and we'll come back after 1 hour, that is at 2 p.m. with another more resource person for our next session. So we have here automatic system of attendance, so we don't need to give any attendance to the message. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Welcome, sir.